February was a month, okay? It was a short month. That's my excuse. Hello and welcome to my channel, The Danish Readaholic. My name is Silka and today we will be doing my February stats. I don't have a lot, so bear with me. It will be a short video, and one of the books that I read was a sequel, so I can't tell you what it's about. But I read a sequel, guys. Cool. Very new of me. Before going into that, let's have a look at my stats. In February, I read 3 books. My total page count is 1,156. It is below the average that I wanted on 1,500, but in January I did read 2,000 something, so I feel like if I just keep it maybe going up and down, I don't know, but if I try to keep it like this is the lowest that I want to be this year. Let's put it like that. February was a short month. I can accept that it gets a low number, but I want a lot of the other months to go up. Hopefully this month will. I have a great reading month planned and I'm actually feeling enthusiastic about reading. I wasn't last month, so that's good. And also we have Aurelium coming soon and I normally read a lot for that, so I'm hopeful. But I don't want another month like this. Maybe July will be, because summer month are always like that for me. But we'll see. Then we have the authors. I have 2 that I have read before and 1 that is new to me. No, that is the other way around. I have 2 that are new to me and 1 that I have read before. As for the star rating, I have 1 3-star and 2 4 stars. When it comes to representation, I have 1 that features disability, 1 that features multiple, and 1 that features no representation whatsoever. As for the author nationality, all 3 authors are American. Then we get to the genre. I read 1 contemporary and 2 fantasies. The type of book, I have 1 in a series and 2 standalones. The intended audience, I have 1 middle grade and 2 young adult. If you ask me, I have 2 middle grades and one young adult, but apparently not. I'll get into it. As for the format, I have 2 books that I read physically and 1 that I listened to as an audio. That's a lie. I have 1 that I read physically and 2 audiobooks. All 3 books were books that I owned and have not hauled this year, I believe. There might be 1 that I'm a little bit iffy about. I might have hauled it this year, but I'm not really sure, so I'm going to put it in owned. And if I then figure it out, I'm going to change the stats so that they will be correct towards the end of the year. But as of right now, I don't think that I hauled it this year, so it will go in owned. And then we have the releases. I have 2 that were released in either 2022 or 2023, and 1 that was released prior to that. That was the stats. Let's get into the books. I'm going to do these in order of ranking. And I'm going to try and do this from now on and not in order of when on the month I read them, because sometimes they overlap. So, the lowest rated but also the first book that I read in February was Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shea Earnshaw. This is the book that I feel like should have been a middle grade. It reads very, very young and I don't know. I just feel like it wasn't really a YA. I mean, it is a continuation of a Disney story, so maybe that has a factor in it, but just the way that it was built up and all of the issues that there were, like, that they had to fix, it felt very middle grade-ish to me. So I feel like it is classified wrongly in being a YA, but it is what it is. Maybe some people will agree with me, some will disagree. I had trouble finding places where it was like, okay, that is because it, like, that is the reason that it's YA, other than the fact that I don't think Shea Earnshaw writes middle grades, but I feel like this was. So in this, we follow Sally after the events of Nightmare Before Christmas. We follow her as she is trying to figure out how to be this pumpkin queen. Then a threat enters Halloween Town and everyone basically falls asleep. And she can't wake anybody. At first she feels like this is great, perfect. Like, I can go about and do my days, or do my thing, I can have a day off. But then when time moves and nobody wakes, she gets worried and she is trying to figure out what happened. So she travels to all of the other realms or towns and see if there's anybody who can help her, but she figures out that everybody is asleep. So she basically has to figure out how to get rid of this thread that makes people fall asleep. And that is what the book's about. I feel like just me explaining that, it gives off middle grade vibes. This is a spoiler that I will say now. So, spoiler alert. The villain in this ends up being misunderstood. And it's just because the villain hasn't slept in years himself that... If that isn't the most middle grade thing I've ever heard. Like, the villain not actually being a bad guy, but just being misunderstood. So that is another reason that I feel like it's very middle grade. 3 stars. I did give it 3 stars because there were a lot of things that I liked. I liked exploring a world that I love, because I love Nightmare Before Christmas. So I like going into that, and I like seeing the different towns. It was well written. I like the explanations. I just feel like, had it been categorized as a middle grade, I would have maybe given it 4 stars. But because it was like, here you go, here is a YA book about Jack and Sally. And then it read way younger. I was like, okay. Not what I was expecting. So I feel like if it was branded differently, branding, if it was branded differently or aimed at middle grade, that age group, I feel like I would have felt a little bit differently about it. So just keep it in mind if you want to read the book. It does read young. I'm gonna take this one next because both of them got 4 stars, but I feel like the other one was better. So like, maybe like 4.5. I don't know. I read The Dragon and the Queen by Caitlin Davis. This is the 3rd book in the Raven and the Dove series, and I have 1 more to go, and then I will have completed this series, which is actually one of the series that are on my list of series I want to finish. So that is perfect. I love these characters with a burning passion. I love Rafe, as I call him. I found out that's not how you pronounce it because I listened to this as an audio, and apparently his name is Rafe. Never gonna call him that. He's Rafe to me. So we have Rafe and Lyanna, Cassie and Xander, a bunch of other characters as well. You can definitely feel in this book that we're leading up to the conclusion, and in some ways I feel like it is stretched out, but in other ways I really like what is going on in this book. In the beginning of it, I was like, okay, can we do something soon? Can something happen soon? But there is a lot of unresolved things from the 2nd book that gets not completely resolved, but gets explored a little bit more in this book. And I like it a lot. So I ended up giving this 4 stars. I also feel like, because I listened to it as an audio, and because I haven't really been in the reading mood this month, I wasn't focusing completely at times where I probably should have. So I feel like there might be bits and pieces of the story in itself that I'm missing out on in the beginning of it. But the more I got into it, I was like, okay, I'm listening now. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. I know that this is not for everyone. I am well aware. And not everyone will like this as much as I do. And there's just, I don't know, there's just something about it and something about the way that we're going with this. Every time there is something that has been concluded and it's like, okay, this is how it is. And that's what we're going to do. Something new comes along that's like, okay, yes, but then we also need to take care of this. And I don't know how you're going to do this because that you're doing here will eliminate the chances of fixing this. So it is just very good, in my opinion. Very confusing, but in a good way. Like, in the best possible way. And I like the fact that there is a lot of POVs. So we have, like, the 4 main POVs, and then from time to time we will have a different POV from somebody else. And I like that. I'm excited for the 4th book, and I also found the novella on audio, and I will be listening to that also. Yes, I gave this 4 stars. For good reasons. I cannot tell you what this is about, but The Raven and the Dove is basically about Lyanna, Rafe, Xander, and Cassie. Already in the first one, it is mixed up. Like, it is complicated. But we have Lyanna, who is this lady right here. She is the princess of the Doves. Then we have Rafe, this guy. He is the bastard prince of the Ravens. Then we have Xander, who is the crown prince of the Ravens. And we have Cassie, who is like an orphan owl that is Lyanna's best friend. And in the first one, we have a mating ceremony where Rafe pretends to be Xander because Xander is missing a hand. And in order to find a proper mate for the Ravens, they want to make sure that they have the best fighting chance at this mating ceremony, trials, whatever. Stuff happens at these mating ceremony things. And obviously, as you probably can tell, also from the first book, I will say, they're also the two characters on the cover of the first book. But Rafe and Liana fall in love, and we like it. And there's dragons, and there's floating islands, and it is chef's kiss. So I'm excited to finish this series, but also a little bit sad that I will be leaving the characters behind. Next up, a book that I picked up on a whim, because I wasn't feeling the books that I had picked for my TBR. So I tried to find other books that would fit the prompts, and this one was the different color spine to the cover, and I ended up reading Fight and Flight by Jules Macias, I want to say. And we have like a deep purple spine, and then we have like this bright pastel cover. This book, I don't want to say that it made me cry, but it made me tear up. I didn't cry, but I could have. So in this we follow these two young girls. I believe that they might be like 12-ish, around that age. And they are in the same school. We have, what's their names? We have Avery and Sarah. And Avery, let's cover her first because I have it here and I need it. Avery is diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correct, but it's a disease that affects her joints. Doing what she loves put Avery at risk for major injury, like the dirt bike wipeout that resulted in surgery. Then we have Sarah. She suffers from like panic attacks and anxiety, like social anxiety. And then in the beginning of the book, there is a school drill, like a school shooting drill, that is very realistic. And then it kind of scarred these girls, but differently, and kind of scarred everyone in the school, but very differently. Everyone was affected in one way or the other. And then they want to try and stop these realistic drills from happening in the future, so they kind of team up, and it is just really nice. It is like we have mental health rep, we have disability rep, we have LGBTQ plus rep, we have so many different types of representation. We also have like racial, so many different types of like, I love it. It is really just a phenomenal book, and I cannot recommend it enough. It is so heartwarming, so damn cute, and I love this little friendship romance thing that is growing between these, because Avery is in love with Sarah. I can say that because it's one of the first things that we learn, so it's not really a spoiler. Adorable, if you ask me. That was it. That was my wrap up for February. Do with that what you will. Thank you so much for watching. Please tell me what your favorite book of February was, and how was your reading? Like, was it good? Good month? Bad month? Let me know. If you just want to let me know that you're here but don't know what to comment, you can always leave a green heart. If you like this video, please hit the like icon. And if you want to see more of my bookish content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It will mean the world to me. And until I see you next time, bye!